Joining me now is Global Affairs Analyst Michael Bociurkiw. He's also a Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Ukraine's President Zelensky addressed the UN General Assembly one day after he addressed the Security Council, and he appealed to the world to stand against what he called Russia's colonial war. What's your assessment of his address, and how do you think he was received there?
Sure. Well, there was definitely a note of urgency. I would say even a bit of desperation in there. But also, I have to be honest with you, I was quite taken aback at some of the tone when he started talking about not only that Russian colonialism, but what, according to his intelligence, he claims is Russia plans to attack the 4 nuclear power plants in Ukraine, one of which, of course, is in Russian hands. He didn't really explain where this information came from, other than that the Russians have satellites that have spotted where the reactors are. And the odd thing here, Rosemary, not to get into too much detail, is that all of these plants were built in Soviet times, so they know very well, where the facilities are, the blueprints, and so on. But I think it indicates to us in the bigger picture that the Ukrainians feel that they have to almost scare the West into doing something, because they know the political clock is ticking down, not only in the United States, but in other capitals as well, change of leadership. And they have to shake people into reality and say, we need help now, we need missiles now, we need air defense systems. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad news for the entire globe.
And President Zelensky now heads to Washington, D.C., where he will unveil his victory plan to defeat Russia in meetings with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in the coming hours. And that plan includes Kyiv's request to use U.S.-manufactured long-range missiles to strike deep inside Russia, a request which the Biden administration has repeatedly denied up to this point. What do you expect to come out of those meetings?
Yeah, well, he's heading into very, very strong political headwinds. The Republicans are really kicking up a storm in terms of Zelensky coming to Washington, and they're accusing him of meddling in U.S. politics. But I think we're at a crucial point right now, Rosemary, where the Biden administration, and especially people like Jake Sullivan, have to, the U.S. national security advisors have to decide yes or no. Does Ukraine use U.S. provided, British provided missiles to strike deeper in Russia, or do they not? I think, sadly, what is happening is the decision makers, mainly President Biden and his team, are succumbing to Mr. Putin's saber rattling, that he's threatening to use tactical nuclear weapons. Very few of us believe he will, but it's still causing this fear in the White House and the State Department that it's going to bring about escalation. So Mr. Zelensky and his team have a very, very tough job ahead of them. But if that permission isn't given, I suspect that the Ukrainians will go ahead and use them anyway, with a kind of passive UK approval, French approval, because there's no alternative at the moment.
And on Wednesday, the US announced a $375 million aid package for Ukraine as the Biden administration pledged unwavering support. How significant is that aid package?
It is not significant, to be blunt with you, when you consider that Ukraine has a $5 billion a month deficit. That money is going to be going very quickly, because most of the revenue collection that Ukraine has, what little there is, goes to the war effort. So that will be used up very quickly. I think Mr. Zelensky and his team would rather see, again, the permission to use Western-supplied missiles to strike deeper into Russia at those airfields where Russia sends missiles into Ukraine, but also for air defense systems for key cities, for example, like Odessa, where there is a world port that feeds the world. Why isn't the world doing more to protect that? But again, I can't emphasize this enough, that I think the feeling there among the Ukrainian team is that things have to happen very, very quickly, or it's not going to turn out in Ukraine's favor or the West's favor.
Michael Bociurkiw, a pleasure to have you with us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.